Thank you, Celebration. I'd like to take a moment to welcome back Roderick. He's been gone for a little bit, so welcome back, Roderick. Good morning. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. We invite you to take a moment to check in on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as we begin this morning's announcements. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you did not receive a welcome packet on your way in, please raise your hand so that one of our ushers may bring one to you. Anybody need a welcome packet? Oh, we're good. Okay, perfect. Please fill in the card and stop by the Welcome Center in the foyer, ask questions, and connect with us. Most of all, we want to welcome you and thank you for joining us today. Our Spirit Circles begin this week with a deep dive into Ellen Davenport's book, Hell in the Hallway, Light at the Door. There are a few groups with openings. Stop by in the table in the foyer to sign up today. If you would like to know more about healing through the chakras, you are invited to speak with Shannon Prescher in the foyer following service to learn more about her upcoming workshop. Our new member class, The Path to Discovery, starts Sunday, February 9th. Over 5 weeks, you'll gain a greater understanding of our 5 principles, make new connections, get to know your spiritual community, and have fun along the way. Your registration includes a copy of the 5 Principles by Reverend Ellen Davenport. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. This quote from Marianne Williamson is considered an anthem for a contemporary generation of seekers and can be found in her best-selling book, A Return to Love. We are so excited, with 5 O's, so excited, to announce that you can hear from Marianne in person on Saturday, February the 22nd, here at Unity Church of the Hills. Tickets are now on sale for an evening with Marianne Williamson, an evening of insight, inspiration, and connection to the spirit of love. Marianne will be doing a talk with a Q&A, followed by a book signing. Please register online or in the foyer, see you, Joni, following service. So, how do you follow on the heels of Marianne Williamson? We're fairly confident that author, speaker, and visionary Panache Desai will have no trouble stepping into those shoes. Join him on Sunday, March 1st for the first stop on his upcoming book tour for his new book, You Are Enough, revealing the soul to discover your power, potential, and possibility. Buy your tickets today in the foyer or online. Back in 1998, the Association for Global New Thought partnered with Arun Gandhi to create the Gandhi King Season for Nonviolence. This 64-day annual campaign spans the memorial anniversaries of Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King between January 30th and April the 4th. It is a time to focus on the teaching of these extraordinary luminaries and to practice peace and nonviolence within our own lives. Last week, we had a special table for our overflowing Lost and Found. This is the last week to stop by that table before these items are lovingly released on Tuesday, January the 28th. I encourage you to stop by even if you don't remember what it was you might have forgotten. As our Board of Trustees continues to focus on improved communication, we have moved our new person's reception into Friendship Hall and opened it to any and all who would like an opportunity to connect with the board and or the staff. Please join us following service in Friendship Hall. For details on future events, the February calendar is available at the Welcome Center, and all of our upcoming events, plus much more, can be found on our UCO app. Download our app today by texting UCOH-APP to 77977. And as I shared in the previous service, this actually adds what you commit to onto your personal calendar, so you get reminders. It's wonderful. All right, now as we move into a more sacred time, please silence your phones as we begin this morning's worship service.
Children, the Lord said he would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3. And I feel that same sweet spirit that I felt oft times before. Surely I can say
Good morning. Still got some good greeting going on there. I thought I would read a little bit this morning from Dr. Roger Teel's book, This Life is Joy, since he's our speaker today. We're so delighted to have him here. This I have learned. My life will rise only to the level of my own self-concept. As deep healings unfolded along my path, I experienced an enormous epiphany. I am who I am, and that's enough. Furthermore, who I am is the love of God shining forth as great light. When I move to this opening and allow this light to shine, I find peace and unparalleled empowerment. Spiritual self-love is an opening into masterful living that shines forth in a multitude of ways, especially the ways of caring, sharing, building up, and healing. Let's just take this into prayer. I am just so grateful in this moment. I'm grateful for Dr. Roger Teel and his beautiful, beautiful book. I'm grateful for this community, Unity Church of the Hills, that is built and fashioned on love and exudes so much love and transformation. I'm grateful for life itself, for I know it comes from this one essence. This one essence, we call it God, but it is the presence. It is infinite intelligence. It is divine love. And it is the only thing that there is. There's nothing outside of it. Nothing. That means that all of creation is made from this one essence, this one life, this one goodness, this one givingness. And I must be made of the same stuff. And so is everyone here. We are all made of one essence. It's a presence. Can you feel it? It is this life. The life of God. It's our life. We're made of it. We're born to express it in beautiful ways. And so knowing we're one in this unified field, I bless this service. I bless all of it. I bless the music. I bless Dr. Teel's message, his beautiful message. I bless all the volunteers, everything that went to put this service in place. Each of us for coming this morning. Knowing that there is goodness happening here, that there is goodness and there is grace and there is an upliftment happening, that it is so beautiful to be a part of. I'm grateful for it. I know that as we are steeped in the truth, we are so joyously uplifted. And what a beautiful place to be able to come in community and do that. For this I am grateful, and I simply let it be. And so it is. Amen.
We ask that you please stand and sing along with the congregation song. Oh Lord, you have turned my mourning into dancing. Over and over and over again. Oh Lord, you have turned my sorrow into joy. You are my joy.
Good morning. What's up, Buttercups? Is this not just a wonderful day in the neighborhood? Each morning, we like to cover one of our values, principles, mission, or vision. This morning, we are focused on our fourth principle. Let's speak it together. There is divine power in meditation and affirmative prayer, which increases our awareness of our oneness with God. Here at UCOH, we like to sing happy birthday to our oxygenarians. Today, we would like to sing happy birthday to Curtis Rafus, whose birthday was on January 22nd. Curtis actually went to school with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., so it's fitting we should sing him happy birthday the week we begin the season of nonviolence. Curtis, would you stand so we can sing happy birthday to you?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Curtis. Happy birthday to you.
We would like to welcome our first-timers at this point. So if you are visiting Unity Church of the Hills for the first time, would you stand so we could give you a blessing? We'd love that. Wonderful. Congregation, please repeat after me. Oh, stand up. Stay up. Welcome. We're grateful you joined us today. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we honor your path. May you be blessed by your visit, as we are blessed by your presence. Welcome to Unity Church of the Hills. It is my sincere pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker. Dr. Roger Teel is a life-transforming speaker, a gifted community builder, and a global spiritual leader. Through practical spirituality, storytelling, and humor, Dr. Teel's powerful messages help empower people to lead them to their limitless potential to live life dynamically. He has been a minister and a spiritual leader for over 4 decades. After 25 years as senior minister at Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado, the largest New Thought center, Dr. Roger retired so he can take the principles of empowered spiritual living to the larger world of seekers. Dr. Teel is a co-founder of the Association for Global New Thought and has worked closely with social and spiritual leaders, including His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. In 2013, he was awarded the Light of God Expressing in Society Award from Unity World Ministries. In 2014, he completed his first book, This Life is Joy, Discovering the Spiritual Laws to Live More Powerfully, Lovingly, and Happily, which is available in our bookstore. Roger, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you? And now, let us join together in the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely you feel the love of those who seek your face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
in this holy place.
Surely the presence of
Presence of the Lord is
in this place.
in this place. Surely you feel the love of those who seek your face. Surely, surely, surely,
Surely the presence
and the power of the Lord
of the Lord
is right
is
in this place. In your presence, there is fullness of joy and laughter. God rejoices over us with singing, yes, and we are changed as we welcome the heart of the teacher. And our voices all are ringing out with praise in one accord. Praise, praise to His name. Share the love of those who seek your face. Oh, surely, 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 the presence and the power is right here. The love and the overflowing blessings are here. Right now, right now, right now. I know. Surely, surely, the presence of the Lord is in this place. In this place, this holy place. Say, let it wash over you, let it feel you, feel you. Feel the presence in this place. Oh. holy power is here in
This place. This place. This place.
Good morning. Oh, what a joy it is to be back here at Unity Church of the Hills, back in Austin. A beautiful day out there, and even more so in here. Great to be, and I'm jazzed to be hearing Celebration again. I love them. Aren't they great? You are so blessed. Reverend C. Boland brought me here a couple of times before a men's retreat and then another time, and I kept hearing this great group. So I went back to my music leaders there at Mile High Church and I said, get them over here. And by golly, we did, all 8 of them at the time. And so thank you guys. You're a blessing, and that's a wonderful thing. Hey, oh, and by the way, before I dive into the message, this doesn't count on my time, by the way. I wanted to, as a co-founder of the Association for Global New Thought, I want to commend this congregation for remaining involved in the Season for Nonviolence. When we founded that organization 22 years ago, Michael Beckwith, myself, Mary Morrissey, Howard Caesar, and many others, we aspired to take New Thought out into the world and make relationships out there. And in so doing, we became very good friends with Arun Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi's grandson. And it was then that we created this 64-day period between the memorial anniversaries of King and Gandhi, 64 days to lift up and anchor the expression of nonviolence, which is all of our responsibility. It's not about waiting for them. I never knew who them was. Them is us. And we can do that. And I just wanted to make the distinction between nonviolence, non-dash violence, and nonviolence. Non-dash violence is simply the absence of violence. It's committing oneself to not act in a violent way, verbally, physically, emotionally, and et cetera. But nonviolence, without that hyphen in there, is really establishing one's whole level of beingness in vibration with the peace and the love of the universe, and living that. Not just avoiding violence, but living a higher order of expression. And so that's what these 64 days are about, a lot of self-reflection and the opportunity to say, how am I making a difference, and living the light and the peace that these great leaders espouse. So thank you for that. Thank you, thank you. So my talk today, the title is The ABCs of a Great New Year and a Great Life, I believe. And so here we are, the first month of the first year of a brand new decade. So how's it going for you so far? Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. And some of you are doing good. And how about those goals, those resolutions? That got a little quieter. Got just a bit quieter. I know that the truth is that many of those fall away even before now. We're not even out of January, and many of them have fallen away and are defunct. Somebody wrote, despite my resolutions made with bold authority, my good intentions yield to habits with seniority. And that's usually the case. So today, we're about going beyond just these resolutions or goals and exploring what's a higher place we can come from that can in and of itself lift up our lives in general. And because sometimes we're misguided in how we direct our lives and make our choices, and we can do a better job of that. I've always loved the cute story of this couple, each of them 60 years old, married for a number of decades, and they were walking along a path and they saw a strange-looking bottle and they picked it up, and lo and behold, it was one of those that had a genie in it. And as they rubbed it, out came the genie, and the genie said, "Thank you for freeing me from captivity, and in exchange, I will give each of you one wish. The wish of your heart, as long as it's not money, I'll give you one wish." And he turned to the lady, he says, "What is your wish?" And she said, "Well, here we are 60 and we've worked so hard, raised a family. We haven't really had any nice vacations. My wish is to have a month-long vacation in a tropical island." And the genie waved his arms and boom, there were the tickets, the airline tickets in her hand and the tickets to the resort right there. And she was just overjoyed, just overjoyed. Then he turned to the man. He says, what is your wish?" And he thought, he looked down, he said, "Truthfully?" And he said, "Well, of course." He said, "Well, truthfully, I wish I was with a woman 30 years younger." And the genie waved his arms and boom, he was 90. The deep and profound meaning of that being that we always need to look at where we're coming from in our goals. Somebody once said, "May you be born in interesting times." Sometimes I like to find that person and shake them. Say, "Oh my God." And in these interesting times, we're called to build our lives on a sturdier foundation. And so today I want to offer you 3 pillars for your consideration that can make a huge difference. You can achieve this goal or that goal, make good on this resolution or that. However, these pillars are ways of being and aspects of awareness that can make all the difference. And so that at the beginning of the next decade or even at the beginning of 2021, you'll see such a huge difference and uplift in your life on this path. So the first one, we're going to dive right in here. The first one, the A for the ABCs, is at one-ment. At one-ment. Now, I know that's kind of an odd word. We put the hyphens in there. It's not atonement, as though we're trying to seek pardon from a judgmental God, but instead we're realizing that one of the most important things we can do day by day is to come out of what has been called by the great metaphysicians the illusion of separation. And we're all caught up in that, even if theoretically we have embraced the idea of the oneness, that there's one intelligence, one life, one power, one presence, call it God or spirit or whatever you choose. Even if theoretically we've bought that and we know that, we sense it, we're still caught up in the reports of the senses and the reports of life itself, the broadcast of so many voices that speak of separation, separation, separation. And as we walk in separation, we inevitably walk on the path of fear. And inevitably, our lives can't grow because we're caught up in this sense of separation. My invitation is that you consider that there's probably no greater practice day by day than a brief centering moment as you start your days, where you remember, I and the Father are one. I and the Source are one. In God I live, move, and have my being. And to remind ourselves that we're not these abandoned beings scrounging for some little morsel of good in a world of lack and limitation, but that instead we are of the one, in the one, expressing the one life, the Spirit. We are spiritual beings. Thus, we are one with all the good of God, and we can draw on that. And we can live lives that begin to have a sturdy foundation. We don't have to get caught up in the fear. We don't have to judge ourselves according to the situations going on in our life. You are spirit. You're not your problems. You're not your situations. You may have them to deal with, but to deal with them from a sense of, I'm one with the answer. I'm one with the Spirit. I'm one with the intelligence that can download into my awareness and can guide me. And I'm one with joy. That's why I wrote that book, This Life is Joy, because if you look at life's expression beyond the mess we humans make of it sometimes, you'll find that life celebrates life. And that's what we're a part of. so we can learn to walk in joy and walk in light and walk with a sense of stability and faith, no matter what's going on in us or around us. And it makes all the difference. At one moment. After 43 years in the pulpit ministry, I chose to listen to that voice within that said, it's time to make a big shift. Not to stop teaching, but to find other ways to get this out there. And a way that I could continue to grow. And so I made that choice, as difficult as it was for me. And I've reflected a lot on that journey. I started so young, I'll speak more about that. Of course, I am still young, I beg to tell you. But I started young, and I've grown, and I'm so grateful for this path, and so grateful for these New Thought teachings. And if you're new to these teachings, dive in and learn them, and more than just learn them, integrate them, and life becomes new again, and your possibilities open up, and the self-sabotage that limits so many of us can fall away. And as I've reflected on these years, my growth and seeking to facilitate growth for others, I think the most difficult thing for me has been trying to find the words to convey how much every one of us is loved every moment of our life. I can't find the words. That doesn't mean I haven't used a bunch of them. Most ministers do. But I don't know how to convey it other than maybe you can feel it. But what I know is you are held in love right now. Regardless of your past, regardless of what's going on, regardless whatever shall be, you are an expression of love, and you are loved by divine love. And you know what? Divine love is so much more than we can know. It's so much more than romantic love or sexual love or emotional types of love. It's beyond anything we can know, and yet we're all loved right now. And you may be having a tough time right now. It helps to know you're loved right where you are. You're not loved when you're better, as it were. We're always evolving. You're loved now. You're loved now. And you can draw on that at one meant. That's the gift of knowing I'm one with a love that will not let me go. And I matter. And in its eyes, I'm always beautiful. Always exactly what I have been created to be. I keep a little file of some things that have been sent to me. Actually, it's a big file. And I grabbed this note, this handwritten note that I received in the mid-90s. And I'll just I'll read it. It says, it speaks for itself. Dear Dr. Roger, thank you for the beautiful series. I did a sermon series called Dreamcatchers, for Dreamcatchers. I was only able to attend the last session, but I want you to know it literally saved my life. While growing up in Denver, I was fortunate that my parents took us to Mile High. Thus, the principles of the church are not new to me. In the years I've been away, I've tried to find a church like Mile High, but I know my spiritual growth must come from within. When I came home to Denver for Thanksgiving, my family and I attended Mile High as we always do when we are home. If you heard weeping during the third service, it was me. The message was so powerful. Yet this time, it made me realize I am never alone. I pause here. You are never alone. And she goes on, I had planned on committing suicide when I returned home. Didn't want to spoil my family's Thanksgiving. Why is not important. What is important is that I know now my life is a gift I intend to maximize. She goes on to give thanks for that. To remember every moment you're one with the love that is. You're one with the life eternal. You're of it. Nearer than breathing, closer than hands and feet is that spirit, that divine life. And to walk in that strength and to draw from it at one moment. Imagine a year or even 10 years or the rest of your life really grounded in the day-by-day remembrance of this sacred truth. at one-ment. Secondly is believing. Now, as we establish a sense that we are one in the one, what's so very powerful is for us to then up-level our believing. What is the state of your believing? You're believing in you, first of all. Do you believe in you, or do you constantly reference your old self-definitions? Or again, reference your situations, your conditions, the problems, whatever the case? Or do you believe in the life energy that you are, in the ever-unfolding possibility that you are, beyond anything that is now? Have you just bought in that, well, this is just who I am, this is just the way life is for me, it's my fate, and that's all I can do is just to keep putting foot in front of foot day by day? Oh, there's so much more. I'm inviting you, given the realization that you're an expression of the divine, that you're one with it eternally, then I'm inviting you to up-level your believing. First in you. What's your vision? Do you believe in a vision for your life? In the Bible it says, write the vision, make it clear. Believe in your heart. The real power, the most intelligent organ in the heart math people say, is your heart. That's the most intelligent organ. We think it's the head. But in truth, and we usually lead our lives from the head and occasionally reference the heart, but the truth is the leadership of our lives was always designed to be from the heart, using the head as a tool. Believe in the power of your heart to heal discord, to heal your body, to be a healing presence in the world. Believe that you're a sacred being, that you wouldn't be here if God didn't need you to be here and didn't delight in your presence. Believe also in the goodness within all humanity, however effectively it gets hidden. Believe. I'm inviting you to believe that you're even more than you know of yourself, and that there's potential, there's possibilities waiting to unfold, remembering that it is done unto you and me as we believe. And as we believe at a higher level, our life unfolds commensurate with that. When I first started in the ministry at the ripe old age of 24, I was very clear I did not know what I was doing, that I was green and I felt awkward, and there's a part of me that says, you have no business doing this. What are you doing? And they wanted to send me to a big church, and I knew about this church, and it just intimidated me. So I found a little group of people in Portland, Oregon, about 25 people. And I went up there and I visited them and met with their board. And from the very beginning, it was very clear to me that these folks didn't know what they were doing. And I thought, I have found my people. You know, we can just muddle along and nobody will know the difference. And if I fall flat on my face, I can go to the other end of the country and probably everything will be all right. So I went there, but you know, the church grew. And maybe it's because they knew that despite my awkwardness, I loved this stuff. And I loved them. But I'll always remember the first major class I taught in our New Thought teachings. It was actually a 30-session class meeting in the evenings. And we had a nice little group of about 12. But the guy that intimidated me there was this engineer, this brilliant, heady engineer. He always intimidated me, but then I thought, he's going to be in this 30-week class with me? Oh, Lord. You know, he's probably analyzing everything I say. And so I was intimidated, but I dived in as I did. The class went on, and we got about nearly to the end, only 3 classes left, and they were doing some presentations about how this teaching was at work in their own life. And it came to this engineer. And he stood up, and he was red, and he was looking down at the floor, and he said, well, I've just got to confess something. I've been doing something. And I just don't know why. And we're all bracing ourselves. What are we about to hear? And he said, I have to admit it. I've been writing poetry. And we all breathed a sigh of relief. And he said, but I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that. And he was so upset that this new aspect of himself had burst onto the scene through these teachings. And I had the presence of mind to say, well, did you bring something you could share with us? He said, okay. And he reached down and he shared this glorious, incredible poem, which also, by the way, got published in 2 magazines because I encouraged him to send it to him. And he was so embarrassed when it was over, and we just helped him in the remaining classes embrace that he had a certain staid sense of himself. And there's more. And that's what I'm saying, gang. Believe in what you don't even know yet, but believe that you are an ever-unfolding possibility. And the more you live in at one-ment and give yourself the strong foundation of believing, the more you begin to reveal. You become a revelation of the greater life within you. And I bless you in that, at one-ment and believing. And then finally, a really important component for a really great year and a really great life, community. Community. We underestimate the value and the power of community. It is so much more than just the warm fuzzies of being in a group you like. So much more. Princeton did a study on the power of consciousness, and in doing this, they placed random number generators in many, many countries all over the globe. And these little machines do just what it says. They generate numbers randomly. And they all tie back into a central computer that they could study. And as predicted, they were just randomly generating numbers as they thought. But what they found out, which was stunning to them, is that whenever a major event occurred in the world that compelled people, such as the death of Princess Diane, or the fall of the Berlin Wall, or things of that nature, that those random number generators stopped generating numbers randomly and began to generate in a pattern. And this was intriguing to them. And they studied it and concluded what spiritual sages have been saying for centuries. Now science in so many ways is confirming that we're all a part of a unified field of intelligence and life energy. And nothing is entirely private within it. And so when there's a ripple in the field, I'm sounding like Star Wars or something, aren't I? When there's a ripple in the field, then it is known and it is felt and it affects things. And it affected these number generators. And they call this now group coherence. Group coherence. And so what I'm inviting you to realize is that when the great teacher said, where 2 or more are gathered, there I am in the midst of you. What he was saying in a metaphorical way is that when a group comes together in alignment and knows something of a higher truth, then something ripples from that. There's an energy that is expressed there. This spiritual community is important. It's important, first of all, to you. It's one thing to do your own personal spiritual practices, and this is a teaching that helps us understand what we can do personally and must do personally in our practices. And yet, as the Hopi prayer says, the age of the lone wolf is over. We come out of isolation, practicing at one-ment, and we come together in community because that's an essential way to grow your personal consciousness. You're going to plateau if you just hang out alone. But if you'll come together in synchronicity with a community like this, your growth is amplified and accelerated, more than you can even know. So it's a way that we keep growing. So it's important to you individually, but it's also important to the world. It's important to Austin. It's important to Texas. It's important to our nation. It's important to the world. Because again, we're a part of a unified field, and it's non-local in its approach, such that what's known anywhere is affecting everywhere. So you come together at a service like today, or at a prayer vigil, or even in a little group you put together, your God squad, as it were, and you attune to the truth and up-level your believing, and you hang out in that vortex of that community. And it affects the whole, just as major happenings, emotional happenings in humankind affected those random number generators. And we must accept this with not just with a sense of faith, but the findings that are showing that this is so. And understand that communities like this are sacred. Now, church is changing, and we need to keep changing. But the power of being together in alignment with truth and knowing the divine is indisputable. And great things happen when we come together in community. Last thing I'll share with you occurred also in my youth as a minister in that little church in Portland, Oregon. We're 2 years into my time there, and to my great surprise, the church had grown. I think we were up to like 150 or so. But then the meeting hall we were in, which was a Masonic temple, decided to change its policies and didn't open on Sundays anymore, and we had to find another place to hold services. Well, after a long search, the board found a kind of a dilapidated Christian Science church that seated 500 people. It needed a lot of work, but the owner of the property was willing to let us move in for 90 days, and at the end of the 90 days, we could buy the building if we would present $80,000, and he would carry the paper, meaning we would just make mortgage payments to him after that $80,000, and those, our board said that those are easily done within our budget. So we said, we'll do it. So we moved in, and we finally had our very first church of our own, and we started holding services, and that congregation started doing every manner of fundraiser you could imagine. Oh, all meeting in homes and bake sales and personal contributions, and it just went on and on and on, the things that were going on. And there's a great energy, and it was a beautiful thing to witness. A week before the end of the 90 days, my treasurer called me and he says, well, we've done well, Roger, but I have to let you know that we've raised $60,000, not 80, and we've fallen short. And I was heartsick. And I remember that Saturday night before the next Sunday, the next day I would have to share with the congregation that we hadn't met the goal and we're going to have to move out. And I couldn't sleep. I don't think I slept a wink that night. And I was just so upset. I was so sad. And I started beating myself up. I know you don't do that, but sometimes I do that. And I said, you failed them. Did you not effective enough leader? You didn't make it happen. And I thought, what are they going to do? I mean, they work so hard. And I was just so sad. And then sometime early in the wee hours of the morning, the light went on. And I got over myself. And you know, that's a good affirmation for a new year too. This year I'm getting over myself. And I thought, come on, look at what really happened here. This church became a community bonded and empowered like it's never been. And people have come together. It's attracted new people. And there's a sense of joy and excitement and commitment. It is so beautiful. We may not have raised all the money we needed, but we have won. We have used this well. And the light went on, and then I couldn't sleep because I felt such joy. So I got up and went into church. And I told him that. I said, we didn't make the goal, but we achieved something even more important. We became a galvanized, empowered community operating at a higher level. And let's just keep going. And there was a standing ovation, and people were hugging, and tears flowing, and it was a beautiful day. The next Tuesday, I came into that building with some boxes because I was going to pack up my office and my books and such, and then some members of the church were going to be by in the next couple of days to remove all of our equipment from the church. And when I opened the door to the office suite, down on the floor was an envelope, a white envelope, nondescript. I picked it up. There was no markings on it whatsoever, and I opened it. Inside was a cashier's check for $20,000. No identifying mark on it at all. To this day, I do not know who was moved to do that. But this I know. But I do know this. I know that when community acts with love and high intention, good things always happen. And usually it's that the community becomes more powerful, more light-filled, more energized, and the world needs this. We need spiritual community, and we need to be more welcoming to those who are disenchanted with church, and make it safe for them to try it out. Make it safe, help them know that this teaching is totally inclusive. This teaching empowers people. This teaching puts them in direct contact with their God, and they can live in that one-ment, and they can believe in a higher way in their life. And this community holds people through all the passages of life. It's a sacred thing, but its energy isn't contained on this site. Its energy spreads out into a hurting, confused world. So thank you for being a part of this community and staying a part of it. I know communities have many changes, and I'm aware to some mild degree that there have been changes here. And the answer is come back together in ever greater unity and love and commitment. Commitment to a vision that this truly is a very powerful, important center. It doesn't matter the size of any center. The 25 people I had in Portland or the 2,500 people that regularly attend Sundays at Mile High Church, both are equally important. It's the quality. It's the frequency that those groups vibrate at that puts something out into this world that eventually will begin to lift up the greater predominance of human awareness. You can have a great year, I'm here to tell you, and you can have a great decade, but make sure you are building on the pillars of that one-ment, day by day, believing more day by day, and being a part of empowered, awakened community. Your greater yet to be is already within you. God bless you. Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I was really touched and moved by Dr. Teel's message. So thank you so much, Dr. Teel. Now is the time in our service where we get to share the goodness that is ours, that is part of that flow of abundance that is ever flowing, that is infinite. We know that we're at one with this infinite source and supply, and we get to share it with this place that is our community. So if you would together, let's say our blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I circulate, and I am grateful.
Love.
How can you sit still when that is going on? Oh, aren't they great? Thank you, Debbie. I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for this place that's full of blessings. And these blessings that have been so lovingly shared and given. Knowing that this one presence is full of everything, infinite, and that we're made of this very stuff of infinitude, this very graciousness. We know that this church is made of this graciousness, and that these gifts and tithes will go to bless this community in so many ways, to really transform lives, to uplift consciousness, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. We're so grateful for it all, and so it is. Thank you. And now, our children, we're going to sing our children in with I Believe.